So let's talk about teaching though, because you said
Right.
that you picked up teaching and you went into teaching. What was it about teaching? I know that wasn't your long term goal, but what made you in the short term decide to pick up teaching and take that as what you wanted to do?
Right, right. So, so funny story. My grandmother was like a noontime aide. She taught organizational skills to parents in the schools, right? So when I would see her do that, and she had summers off, I'm like, well, shoot, I want summers off too. So I'm gonna look at teaching, right? I'm gonna look at teaching, right? Because I'm like, well, I don't really know what job I want, but she got summers off and she still gets paid in the summer. That must be easy. I'm gonna look at teaching, right? But it wasn't until I got into a Black history course in college, a Black literature course, and it was talking about poetry, and we started diving into the different poets and Langston Hughes and Nikki Giovanni, and then I started thinking about ways of teaching poetry and applying it to your life, and I started looking at the Harlem Renaissance and things of that nature, and W.E.B. Du Bois, and so it really just helped me to understand that maybe being an English teacher is where I want to go, right? So as I started becoming a counselor on campus and mentors on campus, a mentor on campus, it really helped me to see like I can impact somebody, and I enjoy doing it. So teaching was the way to go.
Okay. So you fell in love with teaching. A lot of people that are teachers, Corey's a teacher himself, and people talk about falling in love with the process of teaching, right? So what was the next step after Westchester? Did you jump right into teaching?
So yeah, so finished school, went back to teaching or went to teaching. I taught at South Philadelphia High School and Abraham Lincoln High School for a while, and then I actually, true story, I actually got fired from being a teacher because I could not pass the Praxis test, which is an exam where it's 120 questions, 120 minutes, 2-hour test, and I took it several times and just could not pass it. So my confidence level was like down the hole, right? I was like, what is going on? So then I transitioned from doing that to now being a counselor for adjudicated youth, because I always knew I wanted to be in education and helping people. So became a counselor for adjudicated youth, got promoted and became a manager for programming in South Philadelphia at a nonprofit in South Philadelphia. And then, got laid off during that time period, went back to school and got a master's degree from Arcadia University in education, and got another job at a different nonprofit where I was helping youth as well too, and got laid off from that job as well. And then finally, I found a job at the school district, back to the school district, where I was managing an office to help dropout youth get back in school. So the
Okay.
whole goal was to really service youth that were 2 or more years behind in school. They probably still have it to this day. It's called the Re-Engagement Center.
Okay.
So the whole goal was to re-engage youth back into school. And then we had these programs or high schools called accelerated high schools, where we really focus on building the student skills and helping them to grow and attain credits that would help them graduate at a faster pace, because they were far behind in school.
All right. So when you're working in that program, when you're trying to help them get back on track, and I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of stories. Was there like something like a common thread amongst those students that were struggling, and you were trying to help them get back on track? Was there something that you saw that in our communities that was like a common thread amongst all of them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely the home, right? So typically there was no father, right? There was a single mother. So no home, no father. And if they had two parents, there was still something happening in the home that was a hindrance to their ability to be successful in school. So
Okay.
something was happening in the home. Then the second thing, which was common, was the low reading levels, right?
Ah.
Students were not able to be on grade level for reading, right? So a lot of times students could be in the ninth grade, but read on the fifth grade level. So the reading levels and the math as well too, were definitely low.
Hey, Core, that's something that you talked about recently. You said that a lot of these trouble in the city is because a lot of these kids can't read, right?
Yep. It's 99% of it is because they in a world that they don't understand because they can't read. It's literally because they can't read. They can't function they can't do basic functions in the world. And so everything frustrates them. And
Right.
so because I've had a lot of those similar experiences as you as a teacher, except for the praxis part, right? Because I went straight I I was having the opposite problem. But the thing about because I worked at AYP, and they called it CYP or something before, but the Accelerated Youth Program, they call it now. And then I worked at Front and Hunting Park, where they were bringing the kids back from adjudication back into the system.
That was Ready Rap, I think it was, right?
Yeah, that was Ready Rap. So I worked in that program, bringing kids that were in foster homes and in adjudication coming back into the system. And so the number one thing I realized is that 95% of the frustration, 99% of the frustration in school was because they couldn't read, period. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that you said that is, you said home, I just said environment, period. Right?
Okay. That's true.
It's because their environments didn't allow them to make the progress that they would normally make, right? Because what I noticed is that they actually did better when they were away, right? Is because their environments were different, right? They had structured environments where they felt safe. They can get a square meal, and they did way better when they were away. And then when they came home, it was absolute chaos because they were right back into the same habits and the chaotic people that made their life terrible before they left. And so that was my experience with it. Like, people were like, why are you sending these kids away? It's because they get an opportunity away. You know what I mean? It's like when you went to college, you got an opportunity to get away from the chaos of your neighborhood. It's just like when people go to college, except for you were on a higher level. You know what I mean? But they were there, the level that they were on, they thrived at the level they were on because they had a chance to get away from those chaotic environments. I always my whole thing is when I teach people, as I say, that if you want to change the person, you just have to change their environment, literally.
Yeah.
You literally just have to change their environment. And people say, the comfort is the enemy. Comfort isn't the enemy. Stagnation is the enemy. Comfort is where you grow. Because when you're comfortable, you get a chance to grow in whatever situation you in. And so it's stagnation that you got to fight, not comfort.
Yeah, I thought that was just interesting because that you brought that up, Justin, because I think Corey was just talking about that to me the other day.
I talk about this all the time. That's why I still teach.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's talking about how like these kids, one of the problems is their ability to read.